Hey, welcome to another episode of Own It for Good. I am your host and your personal responsibility Own It coach, Felicia. And today I'm going to keep it kind of short and sweet. I have almost procrastinated myself out of doing this today, and it is really hot and sweaty here in Kentucky, humid. And I just came in from a sweaty walk. So those of you that are seeing me on video, yeah, that's the product of the sweat factor here. So anyway, so last week I talked about the first letter in the Own It acronym, O for outcome. So today we're going to tackle W, why. Why? So, just to summarize the outcome, that is sort of defining what do you want to do? What are you wanting to own? What is the outcome that you want? And what's getting in your way? You've kind of got to really take a really honest inventory of the choices you're making today and the path that is taking you and the outcome that that's taking you to if you don't make any changes. And I even referenced, I think, the Compound Effect, which is a wonderful book written by Darren Hardy, who really unpacks this concept of we might not be consciously headed to a bad outcome, but no decision is a decision. And there are choices that we're making every day in our habits and who we are that is going to create an outcome, whether we do it intentionally or not. So that's when I kind of woke up and said, whoa, what am I doing here? What's this going to get me? And here I am. I'm doing some things that are pretty good, eating lots of vegetables, getting a decent amount of activity, trying to be the best mom I can be and the best realtor I can be and the best wife and, really pouring into a lot of relationships. Volunteering with my church, pouring a lot into my spiritual growth. But, I don't know if I was being intentional enough in owning it to really get the outcome that I was saying that I wanted. I was just sort of, for lack of a better word, I was kind of half-assing it at life. I often actually use the term, it almost feels like I'm awake now, so therefore I was kind of sleepwalking before. I was just kind of on autopilot, not really thinking about these things, trying to be a good person, and I was a good person, but I just wasn't really doing a lot of things deliberately with an outcome in mind. And in order to stick to that and stay motivated, you've got to have a good why. Why are you doing this? So why? Let's just unpack that a little bit. So many of us are pushed into change by the pain when we kind of realize, oh, yeah, I've let some things go and, I've got a few extra pounds or my energy has really dropped. Age, starts creeping in, and then we start to evaluate, well, is this really age or is this some choices? Because you see other people, I know I was seeing plenty of other people that were my age, and I'm using air quotes for those of you that can't see me. And they seem to be doing a little bit better, at least it appears like it from the outside. Now I know everybody's got their stuff, so I there's no illusions about that. But what they were able to get people to, they were able to get results physically, and so they must have been making at least some better choices and being a little more intentional in some of the areas that I was saying that I thought I was, or, I was trying to use maybe some rationalizing. I like to now break that word down and say rational lie, minimizing, justifying, or just saying, it's not that bad. Don't take yourself so seriously. But not really realizing, the compound effects of my decisions. Yes, they're little decisions in the moment that may not seem that big, but how do you get to someplace big? one step at a time, one bite at a time. So I really had to, the pain of sort of waking up to this reality that whether I was wanting the outcome or not, I was getting an outcome, and I was not too happy about it. But at the same time, I wasn't too happy about having to do all this work now. It seemed very overwhelming. At times, I wanted to give up. I couldn't stay motivated. I was really just trying so hard. I was doing it by willpower. But then as I started reading more, learning more, listening podcasts, listening to some really good coaches and authors out there, signing up for some coaching programs, I realized the power of a why and really taking time to dig deep and get a compelling enough why. So we know that the pain of maybe it's an illness that you're dealing with, something out of your control, or maybe it was like me where you realize, you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, I'm making this happen here, and I want to make something different happen. And sitting with myself long enough, not with just the pain of wanting the change, but what was going to keep me on the path of change, even on the days when I didn't want to show up, when I didn't want to keep doing it, when it was too hard. Maybe I had an urge or a craving I was trying to fight. I had an exhausting day and my brain was so tired of making decisions. We call that decision fatigue. Other feelings that might be happening, whether it's something going wrong with my kids or something in their lives that I couldn't fix or control. And so you go to your coping strategies, and we've all got them. And for me, if you've heard any of my podcasts or videos before, you know that food has been a longtime friend for me. And then I came from a family where the wine was always flowing. So it was natural once I became an adult to also include that in my daily routine without thinking too much about it. And it wasn't really a problem for a long time. And that's how a lot of things are. They're not a problem until they are. And usually there's a shift or something in your life that happens where that thing that was not a big deal becomes your coping strategy or your friend. Sometimes we even think about it as a friend that's really helping us. But when you really want to change and you really want to own the outcome of your life and try to really live a life of purpose, passion, intention, you might want to sit down and really unpack the why. So there's a few different techniques out there. My favorite is to kind of treat yourself like a toddler. Pretend a toddler is just sitting there with you and just going, why? So and we do this a lot in coaching too. If you ever have been in a coaching session, you've probably experienced this, or even if you've done something online through maybe a Tony Robbins or a Mel Robbins or some other bigger coach out there that has a platform, you've probably been walked through an exercise like this. So you start with, sort of your surface level why. Well, there's this vague, maybe you want to get healthy. Well, why do you want to get healthy? So you sit with that a minute and go, well, I want to be able to, have more energy and be more present with my family. Well, why? What's important about that? And so you see, you just keep going. And there are I hear some recommendations that say you need to go at least 5 levels deep, 7 levels deep, but you can determine what's right for you. What I say is when it touches a nerve where you start to get like emotional about it, then you're onto something. And then you can even try going a little deeper. So for example, as I was navigating my relationship with my eating, emotional eating, and then also starting to overdrink in my 40s, and using that as a coping strategy. I had to really, I was able to white knuckle it, and go a time without these things or eating better, or taking a break from alcohol. But to really like change, to transform and have it just be the person that where it's not a struggle. Like I just don't even want it anymore. Like it just becomes who you are. How do you get to that level of change? And you've got to have a why strong enough, because there are no shortcuts in the transformation process. I know people think there are, and a lot of people kind of sell, might see taglines out there, but true transformation can take time, and it can be a frustratingly slow process. So that's why your why has to be so powerful and so meaningful, that it's not something that you just really want to do. It's something that you must do. Like it needs to be that strong that it pulls you, it keeps you going, because life will happen. There will be crises that happen. There will be days when you really want to hit the F it button, and I don't want to do this anymore. Peace out, Girl Scout. But if your why is strong enough, you will be able to stay on track. I'm telling you, like, truly, if I can do it, literally anybody can do it. You heard me talk about myself at the beginning, that I was sort of sleepwalking through life. I am the girl. I am not your type A. I'm just going to get it done no matter what, even if I, have to stay up late and lose sleep. No, if I'm even just a little bit tired, 1 hour behind on sleep, I'm like a toddler. I'm like, no, I'll just do it tomorrow. I am like the person who is like so easy on themselves, which is actually, honestly, how I got to where I was, 70 pounds overweight. So I have lost a little bit, and finding myself mindlessly drinking, 3 glasses of wine a night, and pulling the snacks out, and staying up too late, and watching too much Netflix, and taking naps the next day, and all kinds of bad habits. And so it was really, really hard. I'm telling you, it was so hard. I think about how hard it was. But doing this process of the why, and really putting pen to paper, taking the time, and also revisiting it. This is not a one and done thing. You've got to really revisit it, keep expanding, keep going deeper. But for me personally, my why, coming from a family of drinkers, and I might even get emotional talking about it, because it still makes me emotional when I really think about this, and the responsibility that I feel when you have generational alcoholism. And I don't even like using that word because it's so disempowering. But when we have alcohol, a history of people, their lives being derailed, and relationships, and on both sides of my family, from my mom and my dad. And my dad lost his battle with his over-drinking habit at the age of 58, and he was actually on life support 10 years prior to that with acute pancreatitis in just his mid-40s. So I saw up close and personal what could really happen. And I, of course, justified and minimized, well, I don't drink that much, I don't have a problem. And the disease model, unfortunately, allowed me to have some naivete around that. And also because, well, if it's a disease, then that's something that I just don't have. I felt like I was safe. It gave me a sense of security. But anyway, we will talk about alcohol and, more on other episodes. Today, we're talking about our why. But I could see the writing on the wall. I fell into that trap, and here I was with teenagers in my house, and what were they watching mom do? You got it. And they were watching mom do this. And so I really had a wake up call with myself, and that playing, doing the exercise of the outcome, really thinking about where this was headed and how this might affect their lives as well. Well, here I am saying maybe don't drink or don't overdrink, but they were watching me. So I was not walking the talk. And they were hearing me say some things and even seeing some conflicting behavior where here she is eating a big, huge salad and broccoli and trying to walk. But then she's also at night, just pulling out the snacks and maybe going out to eat and eating all this rich food and drinking the wine and, some beers and, but all kinds of mixed messages. So I only had a couple of years left with them in the house, and I really said, you know what? The buck stops here. The buck stops with me. And I just could not. I must. I mean, that's where it struck me that deeply inside that I must change. I must be the one. I'm willing to go into this burning house and do this work so that they don't have to. I'm tired of, being handed down generation after generation. And not only that, it's not just about the alcohol. It was about all of the stuff that I wasn't coping with or didn't have good life skills, really. Because those hadn't been handed down. So we were all just doing the best we could with what we had. So it was really getting the alcohol out of the picture and then really doing the deeper work of learning how to be a healthy, mature human, which is going to be a lifelong adventure for me because there's no arriving at that place. So every day now really is an adventure, and the why is still as compelling as it was for me. Actually, I've been on this journey for a few years now, and it's still as compelling to me, that keeps me moving to the next level and the next level. Yeah, so my job is not done until they close the lid on that coffin. So find that why that strikes you deep enough that it's just not an option. It's not an option. And anyway, I got to go have some dinner tonight with some girlfriends, and I'm going to leave you guys with that to noodle on. And I hope you do pull out your journals or just a pad, doesn't have to be anything fancy, and a pen, and think about the outcome you want. Go back and visit the last episode, and then why? Why do you want it? What's going to keep you? What is going to strike at your heart deep enough that you must do this work? All right, till next time.